Hi, hello there, welcome back. Sorry I've been gone for a couple weeks. I was applying to the Great American Bake Off. If you want to see my audition, I posted a part of it on Instagram and TikTok. I saw Paul Hollywood post the audition notice and I just dropped everything. Listen, I still wish that I was British, but this is the next best thing. The application for that show is insane, and I had to make a video, and then I also questioned all of my bakes and tried to make danishes at the last minute, which were a disaster and did not get submitted. So anyway, it's out of my hands now. I've done it. I just feel good that I've done it. That's all I can do. So I'm going to share with you one of the things I submitted to the show, which are my dead man's toe eclairs that I baked last Halloween, and I was planning on putting this up this year, and I'm just trying to get a head start of the Halloween craziness because I do a lot for Halloween, so I'm just gonna give you some stuff like ahead of time, and so I can just relax and be like, oh, it's up, it's already up. Look at how ahead of things I am. It's April. Okay, let's get into it. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Hi guys, I am home today getting ready to shoot something on Saturday when I have better lighting, although the sun has come up, but now nothing is ready. I'm working with Freeform on a Halloween collaboration, and I am doing a practical magic dinner party. For dessert, I am going to do Deadman's Toes eclairs. I don't know. I feel like this is kind of ambitious. Like I could definitely make little hot dogs or sausages look like Deadman's Toes much easier than an eclair, but I kind of want to make eclairs. I can make the cream filling red and it'll be like bloody. I don't know how they're going to turn out. You're going to see it with me. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna do half of this off camera because my stove is over there and it's very dark. But I am using Claire's recipe of pate à choux. I'm saying that wrong. Pate à choux. I know it's choux pastry. This calls for a half a cup whole milk and a half a cup of water. Okay, so that's a half a cup of water. And then if I do a quarter cup water. I'm really hoping this turns out because I kind of have one shot with the time that I have. So you're basically just going to combine all of this and heat it until the butter is melted. And then we add the flour and it turns into a dough. And then once that's kind of doughy, we add the eggs one at a time, and then it turns into like this magical batter. And that's the whole process with choux pastry. That's it, 130, okay. Okay, in the recipe she says you may not need to add all 5 eggs, so you're supposed to do them one at a time until it reaches that right consistency. I ended up adding all 5 and it was perfect, but this is kind of a variable depending on where you live. I'm in Los Angeles and this was at the end of summer, beginning of fall, and so it's very, very hot that time of year here. I think that's right. Okay. Scout, it's choux pastry. You don't want this. Do you want to try it? I don't think you'll like it. Try it. Oh, you like it? You're so French. Okay, then we just transfer this to a pastry bag. I think I might have to do 2 piping bags. Oh yeah. This one's so full. Ah! Okay, I'm gonna put this in the fridge. It's only the tiniest bit, but let me let the oven preheat and then we'll do a test batch. They're so hot. So hot. Want to touch the Heidi. Look. Look. Oh my gosh. They look like toes. They look like toes. I don't know why I'm doing this little like squiggly technique. I think I was trying to add a little bit of texture and make them lumpy and maybe kind of copy like the knuckles. I don't know. This was almost a year ago. Okay, this is the pastry cream from Dessert Person as well. And as you can see, I'm adding way too much food coloring, trying to get that blood, that like deep red blood color. But what I didn't realize at the time was that if you let red food coloring sit for a little bit, it will develop as it sits. So you maybe don't have to add quite as much, but this is also a lot of pastry cream. Now this is where I think I am a genius. These are French almond wafers. And so these cookies are meant to actually be kind of like, they're supposed to kind of come out like a Pringle, and you fold them like a Pringle. So they're just like these very, very buttery, thin, wispy cookies, and they're delicious. And so I thought I could do these as toenails, and they worked. I mean, I think this is just one of the best things I've ever done. So you'll kind of see I did them a little bit thick at first, and then I realized I wanted them just like 2 little lines. I was nannying at the time, so this is at the house that I was nannying at, and I have the baby in the kitchen with me. So I just wrapped the handle of the mallet with saran wrap and press those cookies on. It really only takes like 20 seconds at most for them to kind of mold and set, especially that size. They're so small, they're going to cool really quickly. So you want to take them straight from an oven, press them into shape, and then they're good to go. To make the ganache, I used a mixture of ruby chocolate, which is a naturally pink kind of mauve color, and then a few milk chocolates and a little bit of white. And it gave me this kind of like dead skin purple color, which was perfect. And you just mix, I think it's equal parts, chocolate and cream, and I did it by weight. So I think she says in Dessert Person that you want to just give them a little bit of a stab to release the steam. Otherwise, all of that moisture inside will cause them to deflate back onto themselves. In hindsight, I would have just cut a big slit across the top because we're going to cover that anyway, and it would have been cleaner to fill, and then they'd be seamless in the end, and you'll see. So I recommend just giving them a generous slash across the top right when they come out of the oven, and they'll hold their shape. Now this step is unnecessary, but really all of this is kind of unnecessary. So I took my bread lom or just like a little razor or something sharp, be very careful, and I am just kind of aging the toenails a little bit because Deadman's toenails are not going to be perfectly manicured. So I'm just kind of giving them like little chips and things. And then you'll just dip the top of your pastry into the ganache, let it run off a little bit, and then place your toenail on top. Now you'll see this one was way too big, so you want to make sure that you have your toenails kind of organized. So I stuck with this technique for a while. I dipped and then placed a toenail, but what I realized was if I allowed the ganache to not quite set, but just firm up for a minute, I could use those little wafer cookies and push back into them, and that would help me create more of like the cuticle effect. So you'll see I just did kind of an assembly line of dips, and then I go in and place a bunch of toenails, and I'll set them down and then pull them back ever so slightly, and it will give a little ridge that will kind of look like a cuticle. See? Isn't it good? So that's pretty much it, but I did go back, and once the ganache was completely set, I took a blade and just made kind of knuckle marks, and that put it over the top. That made it look like toes. I mean, they look like toes. Right now, they're a little bit too smooth. Okay, so here you can see those knuckle lines are there, and don't they just kind of give them that extra edge? I think they really bring it all together. If you didn't know what they were before, you definitely know now. The other option would be to fill them with jelly, but I don't know how the choux pastry would hold something so wet, so do so at your own risk. So that's it. I mean, it's a long process. I did this over the course of a couple days, but I was also nannying and I just had a lot to do. But if you follow the recipe, they're not that hard. And I just think I'm kind of a genius for this one. Thanks for hanging out with me. Please send me all of your good vibes and prayers for my American Bake Off application. I just hope someone sees it. That's the thing. It's like they get thousands of applications, and I mean, sometimes you just don't even get seen, and there's no way to know. So hopefully someone sees it, and that's all I can ask for. I'll be back next week or the week after. You know me. But I found a gumball machine at the thrift store last week, and I'm going to do a kind of like spooky little flip on it. And I think you're going to like it, and I'm not going to wait till Halloween to do it. I'm just going to do it now. So maybe I will have a video for you next week. Anyway, stay well, happy baking, and I'll see you next time. Bye.